Hello, everyone. Bill Corpus Crispy Murphy here from the Sports Insanity Network, and welcome to another exciting edition of Murphy's View. Well, this weekend, it's coming. The Yankees and the Red Sox are meeting for the first time this season in the Bronx. And I thought I'd take today to review what most people call the greatest rivalry in sports. Beantown versus the Bronx. 4 Yawkey Way versus 161st Street and River Avenue. The history, all of it, the good, the bad, the ugly. We're talking about it today. This is my overview of the Yankee-Red Sox rivalry. Well, you got to go to the very beginning. And the very beginning of that was a man by the name of George Herman Babe Ruth, who was on the Red Sox from 1915 to 1919, in which he helped the Red Sox win 3 World Series in 1915, 1916, and 1918. And then on December 26, 1919, Babe Ruth was sold to the New York Yankees by Boston Red Sox owner Harry Fraser to help finance his Broadway show, No, No, Nanette. And that is what started what's known as the curse of the Bambino, because after 1918, the Red Sox did not win another World Series until 2004, which, of course, we're going to get to that, I promise. All my Red Sox fan viewers, do not worry, we will get to that. Well, with Ruth on the Yankees won the World Series with him in 1923, 1927, 1928, and 1932. And then after Ruth's retirement, you had some instances of this rivalry, like in the 40s and 50s, when you had Ted Williams and Joe DiMaggio going at it with each other for MVPs and Triple Crown. Ted Williams won 2 AL MVPs in 46 and 49, and 2 Triple Crowns in 42 and 47. And won 6 AL batting championships in 41, 42, 47, 48, 57, and 58. While DiMaggio was a 13-time All-Star, won 3 AL MVPs, 2 batting titles, and did not win a Triple Crown. So we had not more of a team rivalry at this point throughout the 40s. It was more Williams versus DiMaggio, but Ted Williams did say later in life that Joe DiMaggio was one of the best hitters he's ever that he's ever known. But after the Williams and DiMaggio thing, the rivalry was kind of dulled, because in the 50s the Yankees were amazing, and the Red Sox were not so amazing. Things didn't really pick up on the rivalry until what I say was when it hit its fever pitch, and that was May 20th, 1976. And in this game, Lou Piniella ran into Carlton Fisk at home, and a fight broke out when Carlton Fisk took the ball and just was beating Lou Piniella with it. And then benches cleared, fights breaks out, and then another situation goes by in which Yankee third baseman Craig Nettles and Red Sox pitcher Bill Lee get into it, and Bill Lee's shoulder ended up getting broke, which was basically the end of his career. And then, as he retired about 6 years later. And then, which was probably one of the biggest points in the Yankee Red Sox rivalry was in the 1978 season when the then defending champion New York Yankees were having a tumultuous first half of the season in which they were suffering from injuries such as Willie Randolph, Catfish Hunter, Bucky Dent, Mickey Rivers, and their longtime manager, Billy Martin, was fired and replaced by Bob Lemon. And by July 19th, 1978, the Yankees were 14 games out of the first place Red Sox. In the last 73 games of this season, the Yankees went 52-21, including sweeping the Red Sox in Fenway. And then the Red Sox went 38-35. And then it turns out the two teams were tied at the last day of the season, which means they had to play a one-game playoff. And where the game was going to be held was decided by a coin flip. And the coin flip had decided the game was going to be played at Fenway Park in Boston. And there's actually a funny story when Steinbrenner walks out after losing the toss. He runs into Ron Guidry, who was going to be the starting pitcher. He's like, "Boss, what's wrong?" He said, "We lost the coin toss, so now we got to go to Boston." And Ron Guidry said, "Don't worry, boss. I got it." And so October 2nd, 1978, Fenway Park, the winner wins the AL East. The pitching matchup was Yankee ace Ron Guidry versus former Yankee and at the time Red Sox pitcher Mike Torres. Boston struck first in the second inning with a home run by Carl Yastrzemski. Then the sixth inning, Jim Rice had an RBI single. Going into the seventh, the Red Sox were up 2-0. And then with 2 on in the top of the seventh, Bucky Dent, or as Red Sox fans called him for years, Bucky Dent, comes up and hits a 3-run home run, taking a 3-2 lead. And that was not the end of it. Thurman Munson hit an RBI double, scoring a run. And then in the 8th inning, Reggie Jackson hit a home run, and the Yankees ended up winning 5-4. This situation, when the Yankees coming back and then winning the AL East, this was called the Boston Massacre. And the Yankees and Red Sox would not meet again in the postseason till 21 years later in the 1999 ALCS. Oh, yeah, by the way, 1978, the Yankees went on to win the World Series. And then 21 years later, they met in the 1999 ALCS. In some memorable moments from that series, Bernie Williams, in game 1, before the game, he was talking to Yogi Berra. He seemed nervous, and Yogi said, "Bernie, don't worry about it. We've been beating these guys for 80 years. Rest in peace, Yogi. We miss you." Bernie Williams wins the game in a walk-off home run in the first game. Then game 3, Pedro Martinez versus Roger Clemens. Red Sox shelled them 13-1, snapping their 10-game ALCS losing streak since 1988. And then game 4, the Phantom Tag, which is when Chuck Knockblock was trying to tag Jose Offerman on a ground ball from Nomar Garciaparra. And he missed the tag, but the umps call him out, and it was a double play because they threw Garciaparra out at first. So the Yankees ended up winning that series 4-1, and eventually ended up winning the World Series, their 25th in franchise history. 4 years later, it was destined that these two teams would meet in the American League Championship Series. And after the series being even at one game apiece, Yankees winning game one at Yankee Stadium, Red Sox winning game two. And the series was then going to Boston. And then, actually, no, flip that. Red Sox won game one, Yankees won game two. Sorry, flip. Then go into game three, which was, in my mind, the craziest game I have ever watched in my life. It was a rematch of game three of the 1999 LCS, Pedro Martinez versus Roger Clemens. And you all know what happened. Pedro Martinez throws at Karim Garcia. Words were exchanged between the two. I remember Pedro Martinez and Jorge Posada were pointing at each other's heads. And I remember the commentators were saying, he's not saying use your head. He's saying, I'm going to hit you in the head next time you're up. And then what happens next time? Roger Clemens throws over the head of Manny Ramirez. Manny and Roger are ready to go at it. Roger's like, come at me. Not those exact words. He's like, come at me. And Manny storms the mound, and then the bench is clear. And then we all know this. Don Zimmer comes at Pedro Martinez, and Pedro just throws him down. I remember watching this. I was about 9 years old. I remember looking at my dad. I'm like, Dad, this is insane. This has always happened in baseball. And he's like, not always. And it was absolutely insane. And I remember there was a Red Sox groundkeeper who had exchanged words with Jeff Nelson in the bullpen, and then it breaks out there too. But the Yankees ended up winning 4-3 and took a 2-1 series lead. I also remember when that was breaking out. Here's an interesting fact: Fenway Park stopped selling alcohol for the rest of the game. Why? I don't know. Maybe they didn't want the fans to get crazy too. They would have been like, there's a fight on the field, and now the fans are into it too. It's crazy here at Fenway. And then 5 days later, game 7, series knotted at 3. Because since then, Red Sox won game 4, Yankees won game 5, Red Sox won game 6. And now game 7, it was all on the line. And so it's a rematch of Clemens versus Pedro. And in the second inning, Trot Nixon hits a 2-run home run. And then after a throw-in error by Enrique Wilson from a Johnny Damon ground ball, it was 4-0. And Clemens was eventually taken out of the game. And then while Pedro was pitching phenomenally, but in the 5th and 7th inning, Jason Giambi hit 2 solo shots, making it 4-2. And then in the top of the 8th inning, David Ortiz hits a solo shot, 5-2. And then, at the bottom of the 8th, the Red Sox were 5 outs away from beating the Yankees and winning and going to the World Series. And hopefully, after 85 years of pain and suffering, they would reverse the curse. But let's just say the baseball gods and the mystique of the New York Yankees had other plans. Bottom of the 8th, Derek Jeter ends up hitting a double, and Bernie Williams hits a single. And then a ground rule double by Hideki Matsui, bringing, Jeter, Bernie brings in Jeter. Matsui brings in right? And then ground rule double, and then a double by Jorge Posada ties the game all at 5. And at this point in the 8th inning, Pedro Martinez was starting to diminish. When Grady Little came out, he goes, "Can you still pitch?" And he goes, "Yeah." Yeah, and this is a move that is criticized today, that Grady Little left Pedro in way too long, like over 100 pitches. And then when he finally took him out, and look, the Yankees, I think Clemens was out by like the 3rd or 4th inning, then used Mussina, David Wells, and then, of course, later on, brings in Mariano Rivera. And then game is tied. Going to the 11th inning, our current manager, Aaron Boone, was hitting against Tim Wakefield. The pitch, the Yankees are going to the World Series in 2003. Eventually, they lost to the Marlins, but the Yankees won the pennant against the Red Sox. And the curse went on. The best thing that Aaron Boone did for the Yankees, by the way, the best thing he did. But anyway, 2004, when you thought the craziness between Zimmer and Pedro was bad, and on July 24th, 2004, in a game between the Yankees and Red Sox, A-Rod and Veritek, after Bronson Arroyo hit him, starts mouthing off to Bronson Arroyo. And then Jason Veritek gets in, and the two start just killing each other. The two just start killing each other. And I remember Tanyan Sturtz from the Yankees got injured. His ear was bleeding. And then but later on, after the game was cleared, the Red Sox ended up winning that game 11-10 on a walk-off home run by Bill Miller. And then both teams made it into the postseason this year. After winning the respective ALDSs, it was only fate that there was going to be round 2 between the Yankees and Red Sox. The Yankees won the first 2 games at Yankee Stadium. Yeah, they won the first 2 games at Yankee Stadium by a score of 10-7 in game 1 and 3-1 in game 2. When the series was going back to Boston, the Yankees rotted the Sox, winning 19-8, which means the Yankees were up 3-0. They were 1 win away from going back to the World Series. And up at this point, remember, no team had come back from winning, from being down 3-0, which in a lot of the minds of baseball fans, which means game 4 was nothing but a formality. And then game 4, it's the 9th inning. Yankees are up 4-3. Mariano Rivera is on the mound. Yankees are just 3 outs away from going to the World Series again. And it starts with a walk by Kevin Millar. And then Millar gets taken out, and Dave Roberts gets put in as a pinch runner. And he steals second, which is the start of everything. And then a RBI single by Bill Miller. They tie the game. And then this game went 14 innings. with a runner on. David Ortiz comes up, hits a 2-run blast. And Red Sox won 6-4, forcing a game 5. And then the next night, Ortiz the hero again by winning with an RBI single, which means the series goes to the Bronx. And then Curt Schilling on the mound with the bloody sock because he was facing ankle tendonitis. And one of the most controversial plays in the series, A-Rod is up, Jeter's on. It's 4-2. He hits a grounder back to Bronson Arroyo. Arroyo's trying to tag him out. A-Rod slaps the ball out of his hand. And then when he hits first, they call him out. They call him out. They put Jeter back on base. Red Sox ended up winning that game 4-2. And it was all knotted up. 3-3. What was going to happen? It was game 7. And unlike game 7 of the previous year, this game was no contest. Like game 7 after David Ortiz home run, grand slam by Johnny Damon. The Red Sox had done the impossible. They had come back from 3 games to none and ended up winning the game 10-3. And they had won the American League pennant. And then 1 week later, after 86 years of pain, 86 years of disappointment, the Boston Red Sox swept the St. Louis Cardinals. And just like that, the curse of the Bambino, which haunted the streets of Boston for 86 years, was over. And yeah, interesting fact, game 7, you know who threw out the first pitch for that game? Bucky Dent. No, I am not kidding. Bucky Dent threw out the first pitch for game 7. I wonder if that was like the Yankees' psychological warfare to be like, yeah, remember Bucky standing there. Hi, Boston. Remember me? Remember me? I made your life miserable almost 30 years ago. Remember that? Yeah, that backfired spectacularly, didn't it? Whoever planned that, George Steinbrenner, he probably planned that to get into the Red Sox heads. Like, remember me? I made your life miserable for the last 30 years. Good to see all of you again. And so yeah. And since then, since 2004, the Red Sox and the Yankees have met twice in the postseason. In the 2018 ALDS, where the Red Sox actually won that series 3-1, and the 2021 one-game playoff for the wild card, in which the Red Sox won that game. Okay, and 2018 ALDS, game 4, that final game. You know who threw out the first pitch for that game? Bucky Dent! Oh, okay. Yankees, Hal Steinbrenner, take notes. When we're playing the Red Sox in the postseason, let's not have Bucky Dent throw out the first pitch, okay? Let's not do that anymore. Remember, look what happened in 2004. Game 7, thrashed. Game 4 of 2018, thrashed. Let's not do that anymore, okay? Bucky, if you're watching, no disrespect, but next time the Yankees call you and ask you to throw out a first pitch before a playoff game against the Red Sox, please respectfully decline or say you're busy that day. Because please, I'm sure you're a nice guy, but please don't. Just no, done. But now, a lot of people have been saying, I've been talking to my dad about this, the Yankee-Red Sox rivalry is not as intense as it used to be. Like, if you remember in the 70s, like I said, with Nettles and Bill Lee going at it, or in 2003 when you saw Pedro and Zimmer, or even in 2004 with A-Rod and Veritek, like the rivalry has kind of died down. And I think maybe because the Yankees and Red Sox, since 2004, the Red Sox have won 3 more World Series, 2007, 2013, 2018. While the Yankees have only won 1 in 2009. I think the rivalry is just not, I'm sure it's still there, but it's not as intense as it used to be. You had games where fights broke out, and when they met in the playoffs, it was like people would go out of their way. And like now, it's still there with the history of these two teams, but present-wise, it's not really, the intensity is no longer there because, granted, over the last couple of years, Yankees and Red Sox have been kind of mediocre. And it doesn't really, because, always like near the end of the season, when the Yankees and Red Sox are fighting for the division, you want to see it. But it hasn't really been happening a lot. And now, like a lot of the players, from my generation, Jeter, Mariano, or in the Red Sox side, David Ortiz, are now all retired, and you don't get to see that a lot anymore. The rivalry has sort of cooled down. It's sort of cooled down, but they are still trying to preserve it. Like, it's always a Sunday night baseball game on ESPN. Rifkin and I were talking about that, and that's a debate for another day. Mike, if you ever want to come and have that debate here on Murphy's View, you are 100% welcome. I am very excited to have that discussion. But yeah, it has cooled down recently. But I've had, I've been to 3 Yankee Red Sox games. Actually, a Yankee Red Sox game was actually my first Yankee game. It's in July 2002. I remember the Yankees won 9-8 in extra innings with a game-winning RBI double by Alfonso Soriano. And the other 2 Yankee Red Sox games I went to, in 2003, I got to see Roger Clemens pitch, but he got shelled. Red Sox won 11-0. And 2017, the Red Sox won 12-5. But like when I was like the first 2 games, that's when the curse of the Bambino was still on. So you got to hear the 1918 chant, which was wow. But then the third game I went to, I remember the atmosphere there was sort of just kind of blah. It was like, there was a few people running their mouths here and there, but it doesn't have that same oomph that it used to. And while it has cooled down now, I will always think of Yankees Red Sox as one of, if not the best rivalry in baseball. How, as a Yankee fan, I've had pleasant memories watching that and some unpleasant memories. But as Yankee PA announcer Paul Odin said at David Ortiz's retirement thing in his last game at Yankee Stadium, quote, "Rivalries are only made great by the great players who play." End quote. I will always have fun watching the Yankee Red Sox. I will always have fun busting my Red Sox fan friends' chops, and I'm sure they will always have fun busting mine. You can always still remember and know why this is one of the greatest rivalries in all sports. If you like what you see here, go to www.thesportsinsanitynetwork.com. Check us out on Twitter at @SInsanityReal, and check us out here on YouTube. Like, comment, subscribe, and hit that bell. I'm Bill Murphy for Sports Insanity Network. This has been Murphy's View. Thank you for watching. Stay safe and take care.